Today, we're going to share a common voice. We're going to share common words of justice, and then we're going to go share those common words with our elected leaders so they know what our priorities are, and they know where they should be placing their priorities as they're working on the budget and negotiating a settlement that serves people living in poverty and crisis.
So here are the policies we're concerned about and why we're here this afternoon. General assistance. It was created because at the time we had a patchwork of local programs that were failing to help very poor adults with disabilities who were in poverty. What the legislature has proposed doing is eliminating the general assistance program, stepping away and abandoning the state's commitment to the poorest adults in the state of Minnesota. Now we have to fight again, and that's to make sure that people continue to get a meager $203 a month to help pay for a room, to help pay for basic necessities, to pay for drug co-pays, to just keep things together. And remember who this is. These are vets. These are workers who did not have short-term or long-term disability insurance when they were working, and when struck with illness, were left behind not only by their employers but everyone else, and now the state wants to do the same. We don't want to see that happen. And the legislature has proposed what? Block grants to local communities. So we can return to a patchwork that we saw fail. There are two other proposals in that budget that aim at the Minnesota Family Investment Program. The first cut aim at the similar group. They would take $50 a month from families where the parent is so disabled the federal government has said that parent is unemployable, and she's trying to raise children $5,000 below the poverty line, because that's what we allow. So we are asking disabled moms and children to face homelessness to solve this budget crisis. And finally, a proposal that would restrict the ability of parents who are on MFIP to get the education and training that could get them in the sort of jobs that would allow them to leave assistance behind for good. A policy change that would save us a few $100,000 and promise that those parents are stuck in the welfare system for most of their life.
My name is Alice Price. I'm a mother of 3 grown children. I have a associate's degree in business management. My former job was as a school bus driver. I worked as a school bus driver for 3.5 years. Due to severe health issues, chronic migraines since a child, this was the longest job I ever worked. The migraines became so debilitating that I attempted suicide. By the grace of God, I am still alive, but was unable to go back to work due to doctor's orders. I am currently living on GA and have this program closed will put me in a severe hardship. I will not be able to pay my copay, pay my rent, pay my copay for medication or for hospital visits. To close GA would force me into homelessness and going without medication. I'm asking the legislators please protect GA program for the working poor and for the disabled. Thank you.
We called this event Word for Word because as we were putting things together, we kept being struck by not only the volume of words that we hear in any given legislative session, but what the meaning of those words are. And when we lay them side by side, what does that tell us?
In the words of a GA recipient, after staying in shelter for 22 months, it was GA that enabled me to find a stable, clean, and sober apartment building. If GA is cut, my housing would disappear, and I will be dumped back into shelter life, to be preyed upon again. I am nearly 55 and declining in health. I do not believe I have the strength to go back. How could our elected officials decide to uproot people with disabilities who have found stability and sobriety in their lives? It is shameful to even consider cutting a lifeline to the poor and disabled. Yours truly.
In the words of the Gospel writer John, how does God's love abide in anyone who has the world's goods and sees a brother or sister in need and yet refuses to help?
In the words of Senator Amy Koch, tough decisions, particularly on health and human services, are ahead. But I believe that we will protect the people in nursing homes and the most vulnerable citizens.
In the words of the current Health and Human Services Bill, Section 26, the county shall reduce the cash portion of the MFIP grant by $50 per adult SSI recipient who resides in the household and who would otherwise be included in the MFIP assistance unit under, but is excluded solely due to the SSI recipient status.
We heard stories, we heard lines, quotes from various faith traditions that ground us in how we are to act in the world. We heard promises and beliefs from our elected officials, and then we heard the reality of Health and Human Services bills that did not always live up to those three previous things that we heard. And so that's why we are here today, to say, we want you to do what you said. We want you to protect the most vulnerable. You have not done this, and we are here to call you on that.
I think for me and for all the other legislators here, the most important thing that you're doing right now and need to continue to do is to hold us accountable to our words and what we have talked about on the campaign trail, because it's really important that people understand that there were also promises made that they were going to protect the most vulnerable, the disabled, elderly Minnesotans, over and over and over again, and that those promises are as valuable and as valid as the promises made to hold the line on spending and taxes.
I was moved by what I saw in the paper, but most importantly, I was moved by the stories that people were sharing, that people were writing down about their experiences on GA and MFIP, and how those people, how the people using these programs will be severely hurt by the elimination and reduction of these programs. I told you that we would begin as a vigil and we would move to action. This is the moment where we move from vigil and reflection to action and using words.